The sun is shining over the Misano World Circuit. We had a fantastic GT4 European Series race yesterday and looking forward to the same today. 1 hour of racing, 44 cars coming out to play, just showing how this championship continues to grow, get bigger and get better almost with every month. It's absolutely extraordinary. The quality of the cars just absolutely tip-top in this GT4 competition. Air temperature 26, track temperature starting to rise, nearly 36 degrees, and a little breeze keeping it slightly cooler than it would be if it wasn't blowing. The car's looking fantastic down on the grid. The grid's so large it stretches around the final corner, the 16th turn of this circuit, but wonderful to see so many, not just so many cars, so many different manufacturers involved in the GT4 series. Slotting in under the GT3 series, of course the very benchmark, the blue ribbon event for the Blancpain GT series here at Misano, but a race very much in their own. Two-driver race, 1 hour. Got lots of different lineups and a couple of drivers deciding to go solo, so they'll be quite tired. It's a warm day here at Misano, but on pole position we have the Phoenix Racing number 5 Audi, and let's go down to the grid because we've got Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and his car is starting down on pole position. He's there with Dakota.
Nikolai, pole position start. Yesterday he started from P2. We won't talk about where he finished. So today he got some redeeming to do.
Yeah, we have to win today. I mean, it's quite opposite. After yesterday, yeah. I think Milan did a brilliant job yesterday in the qualifying. I know we have the pace. I think we have quite good pace compared to the AM drivers. So I hope he can pull a gap. And I know I can keep the gap in the pros. So yeah, let's hope for a lucky race today for our side. And then we have to use our head a bit more if we want to be champions. So that's our goal for today. Use a bit more head and then win.
So you were actually looking really quick yesterday on track. What makes you, what is about this track that makes you so quick?
I mean, I think I'm in a good team. I mean, we've been testing here. We work hard. We do simulator. I mean, if we are not fast, something was wrong because we are working our ass off. So yeah, I just think everything gets together in the weekends. And yeah, I'm just happy to be with these guys because they really do a brilliant job for us.
So practice makes perfect.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Good luck for the race.
So just to explain, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, teammate Milan Donci, and along with the car that was first over the line, the Equipe Vauxhall McLaren of Finlay Hutchinson and Ricardo van der Ende, were hit with a 40-second penalty that left them McLaren down in 20th position and Nikolai Moller-Madsen in that Phoenix Racing Audi down in 25th. So massive disappointment for them then, but transgressing under the safety car. The safety car came out just as they were passing, putting a lap on a back marker. They didn't respect it, they didn't possibly even see it until it was too late. They'd made the move, and that 40-second penalty clearly transforming their race. You can see that number 10 McLaren on the outside of the second row. Now let's take a ride down the grid. We're looking at Paul Rees, Nico Rindisbacher there, McLaren on the left-hand side of the screen, looking on the right-hand side at the MDM Motorsports BMW shared by Simon Knapp, who will be starting, and teammate Max Cobalt. And let's pop down to the grid to hear from the McLaren driver, Ricardo van der Ende. He's down, he'll be starting in 4th position on the grid. He's been caught up with by Dakota.
So you're on pole yesterday, you're starting 4th today. It was quite a good race for you yesterday. Today's all new challenges. How is it going to play out?
I think it's going to be really good. Like yesterday we had a very, very good battle. I think it was a very thrilling race for 1 hour long. Not even only my stint, but also Finley's stint. It ended up a little bit in tears, but that's okay. And today we got a new chance, starting from 4th. We're quick enough, good combination, good team, good car, so hopefully we can win this one.
Moller-Madsen, I've just spoken to him now. He's feeling very confident about the race today. Do you think you can beat him?
Yeah, he's confident now, but I was looking for him yesterday, couldn't find him. I was looking for him this morning, couldn't find him. Now I know he's there, so I'm going to find him now.
I like the rivalry. Good luck.
There is the voice of experience, the voice of many, many GT4 titles, Ricardo van der Ende. He's always a driver who can put things into perspective, and he's always quick. One of the cars that stands out in any time of day or night is the bright yellow Jean-Louis Jasper Jörg Wiebahn Phoenix Racing Audi, starting from row number 4. That was in the thick of battle yesterday, didn't come out smelling the roses, unfortunately, like many drivers. Unfortunately, the Phoenix Racing team really was a little bit blighted yesterday, but they're so professional, I'm sure they'll fight their way back. Alongside them is Stuart Middleton and Will Tregurtha. And they are in their Ginetta. They've already had a win in the championship this year. In fact, 2 wins, a win at Zolder and another at Brands Hatch. They're starting from the better side, the side away from the pit wall, 7th on the grid there in their white and blue HHC Motorsport Ginetta. Great to have all these different makes of cars, these different manufacturers out there playing on the circuit and playing very seriously indeed. Plenty of people milling around down on the grid, taking a last look at these 44 GT4 Chargers. Some of the quicker cars you can see down towards the tail end of the grid, including the number 4 Phoenix Racing Audi, blue and white with red and blue stripes up it as well. And in Christopher Zirkling, who's been brought in alongside Helmut Rodig this weekend, they've got one of the quicker drivers on the grid, and we'll see how they can progress. But they are way down. He's doing the second part of the race, they're way down on the 14th row. Car number 47, the Lechner Racing Mercedes, that's on row 5. Jacob Scherber will start, and then hand over to Florian Janitz. And then Nicky Leutwiler, who's all on his own in the Porsche Cayman, will be starting alongside him on row number 5. Now let's go back down to the grid and hear from Gabriele Piana, who's with the number 111 RN Vision STS car with Dakota.
Winner of yesterday, you had such a successful race. Today you're starting from quite far back on the grid. What's going to happen?
Well, I have no idea. We are starting actually one place better than yesterday. So yesterday we started 12th, so now we are 11th. I have no idea what is going to happen. So our goal is to have a clean race like yesterday. Hopefully he can make some ground up at the start, where we are normally very good, and then we go from there. I have no idea. We want to just have a clean race and see where we end up after 1 hour.
Is it nice to be Italian and driving on a home track, a circuit you know probably very well?
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice. It is nice, especially because you know, it's nice to have people around you that all speak your language for a change. And yeah, it's very nice. It's also here. It's a very nice place, and it's not like just Italy. It's a very nice area of Italy. So yes, very nice.
And what's your favorite part of the track?
I would say the back part, where it's well, our car is very strong there. So the back straight and the last braking point is very good for us, and I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Give your secrets away. Good luck.
In fact, Gabriele Piana's favourite part of the circuit is the top step of the podium, which he got to yesterday, and he's a young man who really requires watching. He's had a considerable success literally the last 2 years since he burst onto the international scene, and it is certainly a very big helping hand to his Romanian teammate Razvan Umbarescu. So let's keep on riding down the grid, taking a look at all the makes of cars that we have on out to play here in GT4 racing. Number 6 Phoenix Racing car. This is the 4th row of the grid we're looking at as we ride down on the Segway past the Ginetta and the BMW. The Audi, the number 6 Audi. Then Nicky Leutwiler's Porsche Cayman on the left of the screen. On the right, the Lechner Racing Mercedes. And the car that Gabriele Piana will be taking over the second half of the race on the left, alongside another of the Phoenix Racing Audis, the number 3, and the second of those RN Vision STS BMWs, alongside another BMW. That's from the 3Y Racing team. They had a whole host of BMWs down the middle point of the grid. The pale blue one on the right-hand side, that is a Turkish combination, the Borusan Automotive Motorsport car, and that runs just outside the top 10 normally, but as the two drivers get better and better. Warm day, KTM Crossbow, you can see that unusual pivot top right in front of our commentary position. That's car number 23. True Racing Laura Kryhammer will start that this weekend. Another one of the Ginettas on the other side of the circuit, CMR. That's look out for that one, Stefan Tribodini, and then he'll hand over to super teenager Pierre-Alexandre Jean, but they're down on the 12th row, so they do need progress. I said we had a lot of cars. Look, they can't even fit it on the start-finish straight, curving our way around turn 16 all the way down to the 22nd row of the grid. The last car on the grid should be Fiona James, starting the Academy Motorsport Aston Martin. That is a whole heap of cars. Don't they look fantastic? At Sky Maserati at the end, towards the end of the grid, had one of the bigger offs yesterday, went running off the circuit at turn 13, where you start to run out of gravel before you can just about clip the tyre wall. They managed just to negotiate it. And there is the Aston Martin at the back of the grid, and Fiona will be handing over to Matt Nicol-Jones, who got that car as high as 3rd place yesterday, so plenty of pace in the Vantage, but certainly we know there's a load of pace on the front row. Even Pereiras will be starting the Lippert Motorsport Mercedes from the outside of the front row. They were set for a decent result yesterday, but not long to go until we go off on to the formation lap. 3rd place for that Lippert Motorsport Mercedes in the second race at Brands Hatch. A retirement yesterday, unfortunately, but they had been set for a good run. So a mere 43 cars coming out to play today. 16 turns around this 4.226 kilometer circuit. 1 hour of racing, 1 driver change. hopefully for these teams, nobody will have more than one pit stop. We had a few regular pit visitors yesterday, but up at the front end, the racing was fast and furious. But the drivers will know, with that draconian 40-second penalty handed to the race-winning McLaren and to the number 5 Phoenix Racing Audi that started from pole position today, you have to look out if there's a safety car about. You have to make sure you don't do any passing when it's out on the circuit. They were only just caught out, but the penalty dropped them down the order. And also track limits are something that are being observed very fiercely here. And the drivers will know they have to keep all 4 wheels on the circuit, and at the final turn, turn 16 most notably, not run over the edge. So the starting grid, just to reiterate, Milan Donci will be starting from pole, Ivan Pereiras alongside. That's Audi ahead of Mercedes. Second row of the grid, Marcus Lundstrass, who's going really well for Racing One, and Finley Hutchinson will hand over later in the race to Ricardo van der Ende. The best of the McLarens, Paul Rees, ahead of the best of the BMWs, Simon Knapp. They're on row 3. Will Tregurtha and Jean-Louis Jasper, Ginetta and Audi on row number 4. Great mix of cars. Nicky Leutviller, one of 2 drivers doing the whole race in his Cayman, alongside Lechner Racing. And so it goes on. Yesterday's winners down at 11th on the grid. Just look out for them, because certainly once it gets into the hands of Gabriele Piana, it will really fly. But it's his co-driver, Ravzan Umbarescu, who shared yesterday's victory, who'll be taking the first half of the race. Did you recognise that name, Stuck? Ferdinand Stuck, son of Hans Joachim, who's joined the championship this weekend. So he'll be enjoying this multi-car discipline, multi-manufacturer discipline. GT4 really is such a growth area of motor racing. And just again, I want to reiterate, look out for the 36 Ginetta from CMR, because Pierre-Alexandre Jean has made a massive splash in this championship in his first full season of international racing. In fact, he's only 17 years old. So one of many young drivers. GT4, when it started, was not the domain of younger drivers. It was the domain of older drivers who wanted, hopefully, to enjoy their racing, and some maybe step up to GT3. But the fact we've got teenagers coming on board, seeing as the way to launch their careers, is very, very encouraging indeed. Lisette Brahms, Las Maras Racing McLaren starts down towards the rear. Now, Carla went very well in the hands of Andy Merrick yesterday, the Bullet Racing Mercedes. That's right down at the back. Stephen Patrick will start that. He had an unfortunate spin yesterday, but Andy Merrick really got it up to the sharp end. I think he rose as high as 4th place overall. So we'll see quite a lot of these drivers driving combinations, the Pro-Am combinations, where the Am is starting the race, and then they'll hand over to the quicker driver, the Pro. Yesterday it was the reverse. But again, at these meetings, we have 2 races per meeting in the GT4 European Series, and with the way they change around, the driver 2 starts race 1, driver 1 starts race 2. Races always have a very, very different complexion. Field bunching up as they should, getting into the 2x2 formation that is required. Coming up towards turn 15, there are 16 turns on the circuit. Certainly the front half of this grid nicely in formation, but it's very difficult with so many cars. When you've got more than 40 cars, the ones at the back are a long way back. So the front of the grid is being held up while the back can get into 2x2 formation, actually coming to a standstill before they get to turn 15. The Audi lead car will dive off into the pits, and then the front row of Ivan Pereiras in the red Mercedes from Leipzig Motorsport and the pole starter Milan Donci. Expect Donci to take the lead if he can get the start just right, because he's on the right-hand side of the circuit. He'll be the right line into turn 1, but that folds immediately into turn 2. The lights on the starting gantry are red. There are 5 of them. We're waiting for them to be extinguished. Wait. We had a late start to one of the races yesterday that caught out the front row. Today it looks like it's a very clean getaway from the front of the grid. Milan Donci, and immediately Pereiras has just accepted, I'm going to tuck in behind you. I want to be sure of second place, allowing Finley Hutchinson a chance to sweep around the outside in his McLaren. It hasn't worked. He stayed in 4th position, but the Racing One, Marcus Lundstrass, Audi, making a move immediately into turn 2 to try and take second place on the outside line for turn 3, so that's not really going to work. This could be a chance for the McLaren to move up a position up the inside, not proving to be the case. So 1st and 2nd stay 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th likewise keeping their grid order. Behind it's all very nice and neat and tight. It's down in about 6th place. Looking forward at the batch ahead of them, I think that could have been the BMW we were riding with there. Oh, Finley Hutchinson looking very feisty. McLaren looking one way at turn 7, looking the other to try and get past Marcus Lundstrass. Around the outside they go. Lundstrass was 3rd overall yesterday and was the winner of the Pro-Am class. Bodywork I thought I saw flying up there. Certainly you'd expect Finley Hutchinson to get the McLaren ahead to get up into 3rd position. Very nice, neat and tidy around the opening part of the lap. The 55 HHC Motorsport Ginetta makes a dive up the inside to gain a position going onto the back straight in the Ginetta, setting off after one of the Racing One Audis. So all very clean and tidy at the front, but no place changes just yet. Will anything happen down into turn 13? The driver who has gained a position is Simon Knapp. He's got ahead of the McLaren of Paul Rees. That's the only place change in the top 6 positions. And in behind, we can see Jean-Louis Jasper's gained a position. He's got ahead of the Ginetta. The early few corners, and the Ginetta now fighting back. Finley Hutchinson looking one way, looking the other to try and get around the Racing One Audi, but hasn't managed to do it. In fact, coming up towards turn 15 and 16, he's lost a little bit of ground in 4th place in that number 10 McLaren. And Nicky Leutvilla, as the solo driver, his Porsche Cayman, he's gained a position. He's got onto Jean-Louis Jasper's tail, so in fact the HHC Ginetta has lost a little bit of ground in the opening laps of the race. Now Paul Rees being challenged very hard indeed in the McLaren, but doesn't look as though that move has worked. So race leader Milan Doncic, handing over to Nikolai Moller-Madsen around mid-distance. His job for now is just to keep clear of even Pereiras. And behind Paul Rees with Jörg Wiebahn in the number 6 Audi. That's the car we're riding with now. You can just see the bright yellow bodywork around the windows. I really fancied Milan Doncic to pull away from even Pereiras, but even is keeping just about half a second down on him. In fact, the Audi leading the race, running wide, as did Lundstrass in his Audi in 3rd place out of turn 8. But really the key corner, get it right through turn 9 and then really get yourself a good exit from turn 10 onto the King's back straight. There is Nicky Leutvilla in the 222 Porsche Cayman, pushing this car. Jean-Louis Jasper getting very close to the rear of Paul Rees. Paul Rees didn't make the best escape from turn 10 onto the back straight, and then tries to keep out of the way and provide no slipstream. Up front of the race, I'm really impressed with even Pereiras getting right now onto the tail of the race leader Milan Doncic. I expected the Phoenix Racing Audi to pull clear, and it certainly is not doing that. And Markus Lundstrass, leading the Pro-Am class in 3rd overall, is pushing around. Oh dear, Jean-Louis Jasper, he's just gone for a little, Jörg Wiebahn has gone for a little bit of a bouncing ride across the curbs. That's cost him, and those behind probably lost a little bit of ground. First 5 have now made the break because of that incident. Where is the bright yellowy green Audi? Not come round, so I'm afraid there's been a bit of an incident there. Car 37 and car 71 have been noted for an incident very early in the race. That's Akhil Rabandra's BMW, and car 71 is the Paolo Meloni Massimiliano BMW. Well, that's under investigation. That was turn 10. Already we've got track limits warnings. Oh, and here we have a move from Finley Hutchinson. He's shaped up Markus Lundstrass, more experience and maybe a little bit more pace through that sequence of corners. He's moved up into 3rd place now. Lundstrass back to 4th in the number 16 Racing One Audi. And tucked in behind Simon Knapp, looking very feisty indeed in the MGM Motorsport. BMW 2-3 abreast, and it looks like Lundstrass is about to lose another position into turn 8. Yes, he does. So in half a lap, unfortunately, Markus Lundstrass has lost 2 positions back to 5th. There he is now fighting back, trying to get back up with the BMW, but it isn't happening. Looking to see where the place changes are happening. Paul Rees is hanging on, but he's been pushed very hard indeed by Nicky Leutvilla. And now, have we got any gap between 1st and 2nd? It was half a second on the start-finish line. It seems to be exactly the same. Even Pereiras hanging on in that Live at Motorsport. Mercedes really stepping up the pace behind him with a little bit of space around him. We have Finley Hutchinson up into 3rd place, and he's shaken the cars off his tail. 1st, 2nd and 3rd, Audi, Mercedes and McLaren. Tiny bit of a gap. And then Simon Knapp in his BMW, so 4 manufacturers in the top 4 positions. That is why the growth of GT4 has been such a success. So many manufacturers wanting to come and play, and you can see how many cars they can sell if they create GT4 races. So it's great business for them as well. First 3 have now made that break. Simon Knapp, maybe he's slowly holding up Markus Lundstrass, can't be entirely sure. Paul Rees, a tiny bit of a gap now. He's had a better second half of the lap. He's starting to shake off Nicky Leutvilla. I really expected Milan Doncic to pull away. I'm very impressed with even Pereiras for keeping right in his tail. Oh dear, we've had a spinner, car number 33. That's the Bullet Racing Mercedes. Stephen Patrick had a spin yesterday. Unfortunately, had another spin today, so that will drop him down. He was around in about 30th position. So he's going to be right at the back of the pack now. First 3 about as close as you could possibly be. Still the number 5 Audi is going past a McLaren that's had a spin as well. McLaren very well out of the way, so well driven there. So still the first three, Milan Donchi, second place, Even Pereira, Finley Hutchinson in the GT4 McLaren. The car that was first the checkered flag yesterday, but was hit with a 40-second penalty that dropped it to 20th overall for a misdemeanor under the safety car. Simon Knapp being attacked, or a little look from Marcus Lundstras in 5th place, seeing if he can get 4th. And now we've got Finley Hutchinson again, showing just a wonderful speed down the back straight, and made it very easy getting past the Lippert Mercedes up into 2nd. So Finley Hutchinson really rather wants to hand this car over in the lead of the race. He's almost alongside Milan Donchi, the wider line for Donchi, out of 14 up to 15, but great pace around down the back straight from a sleek McLaren. So Finley Hutchinson right on the tail now into turn 16, the final corner of the lap. Stay within the confines of the circuit. Top 5, a little bit of a gap. Then Paul Rees in the McLaren from Team GT. Ooh, clouting the curve at turn 1. Even Pereira's not so happy being down in 2nd place overall, but just didn't get it right going down the back straight, and Finley Hutchinson didn't need a second invitation in the McLaren. What's happened in the last lap or so, during that moment of being overtaken, Simon Knapp has been able to close in. The first 3 had escaped, but Knapp and Lundstras have now made it a 5-car battle for the lead. Lundstras was running third and trying to get his way back up, and certainly Simon Knapp in the number 1 BMW looking very, very positive indeed as they go down towards turn number 8. Paul Rees then a little bit of a gap, and then the HHC Motorsports Ginetta running behind them now in 7th place overall. Paul Rees in 6th. And Will Tregurtha now ahead of Nicky Leutwiler. That's been a place change around the early stages of this lap. So Leutwiler in the Porsche Cayman lost a tiny bit of ground and 1 position. Marcus Lundstras trying to get a good entry onto the back straight. In fact, if anything, he's lost a tiny bit of momentum, and now Finley Hutchinson so fast down the straight, still in 2nd place, trying to sweep around the outside at turn 12. How is that for a manoeuvre? Can he get back across in front of the Audi? Yes, he can. So new race leader, the number 10 GT4 McLaren, does the job very tidily indeed. That back straight has been a very, very happy hunting ground for him. And now a new leader, the Racing One Audi that started from pole. Sorry, the Phoenix Racing Audi that started from pole position in the hands of Milan Donchi, now back into 2nd place. And lots of changes of position there as the Lippert Mercedes tries to keep hold of 3rd place at the very least, and Simon Knapp putting a lot of pressure on Even Pereira. So Marcus Lundstras for Racing One trying to fight back as well in the red and grey Audi. While this is going on, Paul Rees in the McLaren behind them, able to just edge that little bit closer. He's not in their battle yet, but don't forget we had a 3-car battle for the lead, then it became 5 cars. It's very soon going to be 6 cars, but what we're starting to see, particularly as the cars are going on around this lap, is I think we're going to sense that McLaren is just going to start edging clear and maybe be in a race of his own, unless Milan Donchi can get the balance of his car as he wants the Phoenix Racing Audi and try and hang on to his tail. But the ease with which the McLaren did the overtaking to pick its way up the order from 4th to 3rd, 3rd to 2nd, and 2nd into the lead of the race is looking very ominous indeed. Haven't talked too much about one of yesterday's winners, Ravzan Umbarescu, started 11th, he's made his way up to 9th. His next target is Nicky Leutwiler's Porsche Cayman. And Nicky had a really good start to the race, but has been losing a few positions since then. And in terms of the class battles, Marcus Lundstras in 5th place. You can see the red and grey Audi running 5th in that pack is the lead car in the Pro-Am class. There's Paul Rees. Let's look down the order of the McLaren. There is Nicky Leutwiler in the Porsche Cayman. Behind him, one of yesterday's winners, Ravzan Umbarescu. But look at the mix of cars. A lot of BMWs around the middle order. When I say the middle order, I mean just outside the top 10. In fact, that's the top half of the field. Yesterday had a really good run from the number 76 Porsche. Qualified incredibly well and went on to win the AM class. That's the Auto Orlando Porsche. There it is, just going out of our shot. And good to see the Chevrolet Camaros as well, 2 of them entered by V8 Racing. So the race lead as we come on to another lap, just under half a second. And now what's happened, we've had some loose moments from the Lippert Motorsport Mercedes. That has now dropped back. So where I thought we might get a 6-car battle for the lead with Finley Hutchinson gradually edging clear. He has gone clear, but he's taken Milan Donchi with him. Another one of the Phoenix Racing Audis, number 3, that's Cedric Freiberghaus and Gosia Radest. That's Radest at the wheel, the Hungarian racer, in 13th place overall. She is 2nd in the Pro-Am class at the moment. Car number 87 has been given a black and white warning flag for not respecting track limits. That's Paul Rees, who's running in 6th place, so he's going to have to really watch what's going on. Fastest lap of the race set last time around by the driver in 7th, so the HHC Motorsport Ginetta is getting a move on. That's Will Tregurtha, who was really, really strong in the second half of yesterday's race. There's the driver who's got the warning flag, 87, and in behind the driver who set the fastest lap of the race, closing in, Will Tregurtha. And in behind them, in 9th place overall, is yesterday's winner, Ravzan Umbarescu. So it shows, though the McLaren is just starting to edge clear, this battle behind the Weipert Motorsport Mercedes is going to bunch up, because I think he's now delaying the cars behind, but no reason why he shouldn't. Even Pereira, very good in the opening laps of the race. Now he's having to look in his mirrors far more than what's lying ahead. There's Gauthier Adest, 2nd in the Pro-Am honours, tucked in behind 112. One of the 2 RN Vision STS, sorry, one of 3 RN Vision STS cars, and that's shared by Miguel Kristevau and Pavel Lefterov. It's Lefterov at the wheel at the moment. No, it's Kristevau at the wheel, sorry, got it the wrong way around. Number 16, Marcus Lundstras, 3rd overall yesterday to win the Pro-Am class. He's sharing with Hamza Ovega, one tall driver, one short driver, but they make a very, very good pairing for Racing One. One of the coming teams in GT4 racing. They are in 5th place overall. A very good close look at the MDM Motorsport BMW. Simon Knapp driving a very strong race with that. The M4 sort of burst on the GT4 scene midway through last season. A lot of people liked what they saw, showed some really good form in the various championships around Europe. And the order book filled up fairly quickly for them. And then we had the place change. Simon Knapp driving very well, but Marcus Lundstras showed the metal he's made of. Dives up the inside. Will he be ahead by the time they exit turn 8? Just enough surely to take the line. Knows the BMW is back in front, but he's on the outside line to turn 9, which puts him behind, but he can have the faster line as they go through. So Lundstras leading the Pro-Am Cup by 9 seconds over Gauthier Adest, but he's involved in battling for the front end of the field. That's what he's concentrating on. Look, side by side with Simon Knapp's BMW, just gets his nose in front by the time they get to turn 11, but Knapp looks to the outside, the faster line, but you start to run out of circuit at turn 12, so he tucks in behind. Paul Rees likewise slots in behind him in that blue Team GT McLaren. But Simon Knapp, having lost the position down to turn 8, is doing his very, very best, involving a little bit of kissing there, a little touch to the rear of the Racing One Audi. Wants the position back, but Marcus Lundstras, yeah, that was a very good move indeed. Marcus has had a sort of 2-part racing career. He raced Porsches, raced the Nürburgring 24 Hours, 2003, 2004, bit of GT racing in 2008, and he's back after a 10-year break. And clearly very much enjoying his racing. There he is in 4th place, the lights ablaze on his Racing One Audi. Number 6, Simon Knapp will now have to work out how to get back past him. 1st to 2nd, just over a second advantage to Finlay Hutchinson in, we've got the, dearie me, Fiona James has parked the Academy Motorsport Aston Martin at the side of the circuit. She started at the back of the grid, so Matt Nicol-Jones, her partner, will not get a race today, Sunday, at the Misano World Circuit, but luckily she's out of the way. Between turns 11 and 12, fast part of the circuit. Ravzan Umbarescu running at the moment in 9th place, got plenty of company. He's got Bainska Visser tucked in behind. There is Visser in the number 110, that's a teammate. 2 BMWs together. Nicky Leutwiler sliding down the order now in the 222 Porsche Cayman, and tucked in behind we should have car number 47, yes we do, Jacob Scherber, racing Mercedes for Lechner Racing. Now the driver of the 55 HHC Motorsport Ginetta, Will Tregurtha, set the fastest lap of the race not so long ago. He's got a face full of Paul Rees's BMW Team GT, trying to find a way to go past. Paul Rees is now embroiled in battle on the tail of Simon Knapp's BMW. Ahead of them we've got Marcus Lundstras, who made that pass to regain 4th position not so long ago. Paul Rees suddenly looking as though he's right in the mix in that bright blue McLaren. 3 very different shapes of cars in that little battle. The BMW much taller, the McLaren much lower. Totally different body shape from the Ginetta in the background, and the Racing One Audi in front of them, another shape altogether. So it's great to watch. Everyone has their own particular favourite body shape. And the Mercedes in front, so 5 cars in shot, 5 different manufacturers. Paul Rees sharing with Nico Rindlisbacher, British driver with an Austrian. Sorry, Nico's Swiss. What am I talking about? He's a Swiss man. He'll be taking over in the second half of the race. Just sense that even Pereira has had a slightly better lap. It looks like he's opened out a bit of a margin to protect his third position as Marcus Lundstras is fighting very hard for Simon now. There's Nicky Leutwiler trying to hang on to that group. He's in, really falling down the order. He's now in 10th place overall. Leutwiler, though, leading the AM Cup by 10 seconds from Giuseppe Genzi and Gael Delomier, BMW third in that class. So, though Nicky Leutwiler is losing a bit of ground at the front, he is in the AM class, and you have to recognise the most important thing for a driver isn't the overall position, it's your class position at the end of the race. And Nicky, a driver of respectable age, born in 1960, so he's got drivers considerably younger. He's doing a very, very good job out there. As I said, even Perez got a little bit of breathing space. He's in third. Behind him, Marcus Lundstras holding down fourth place from further attack from Simon Knapp. But whereas we had Paul Rees right on the tail of the BMW not so long ago, he's fallen back very slightly, because probably he's looking at the attack from behind from Will Tregurtha in the Ginetta. Tail really swinging on the swinging out of line from Simon Knapp there in the number 1 BMW from MDM Motorsport. That was through turn 15 onto another lap. The gap stays very stable at just a whisker over and a whisker under a second between first and second, between Milan Donce in second and the race leader Finley Hutchinson in his McLaren. Ravzan Umberescu still holding down what is now 8th place, but being pushed very hard by his teammate, Bates Gavisha, the Dutch racer. She's getting closer and closer, so they're into the top 10. 8th and 9th positions. Nicky Leutwiler slightly falling away from their tail as he comes under pressure from Jacob Scherber. McLaren wide over the curbs, he's been warned already. And in fact, track limits, black and white warning flag is going to be held out to car number 84, the driver. So people have been warned, they will just have to watch out any further misdemeanors once you get that warning flag. Slightly confused, I can't find an 84 on my list. I think it might be for 87. Paul Rees has been warned already, he's in 87, so we'll just see if that message changes on screen. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all in picture. The car in 5th place is the one on our screen at the moment. That's the MDM Motorsport Simon Knapp BMW M4. Paul Rees trying to hang on behind, and in fact, having caught them, HHC Motorsport Ginetta has slightly fallen away from the tail, but this was a car that set what was the fastest lap of the race. In fact, that's just been taken away from him on the last lap by Milan Donce, the driver in 2nd place, who's just under a second down on the race-leading McLaren of Finley Hutchinson. There you can see 0.7 of a second, so around this lap he's closed in by 0.2 of a second, so the progress, in fact, on the start-finish line is now down to 0.633 of a second. So Milan Donce with that fastest lap of the race, followed by another good lap where he's taken a bit more time out of the race leader. I thought the McLaren was going to pull away, but it's now being hauled back in. So Finley Hutchinson is going to hope that the car will still be in front when it comes to the time of the pit stops, but he's doing his best. And look, as you can see, Finley Hutchinson does not have even 0.6 of a second anymore. Milan Donce in the number 5 Audi from Phoenix Racing has closed right onto his tail. This is the battle of the lead. 0.4 of a second now. Milan Donce, the Dutch racer, is coming, and coming very strongly indeed. Finley Hutchinson, though, just needs to keep his car in front, but looking a little bit loose out of turn 8, whereas the Audi is looking very well balanced indeed. In fact, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who'll be taking over the number 5 Audi, pointed out their team came and tested here. They wouldn't have been the only ones, but to stay at the top of this ever more competitive championship, you do need to get your testing time in. Challenge for 3rd place. Yves Pereira on the right of the screen in the red Mercedes. Looks as though Marcus Lundstras in the red and grey Audi is alongside as they approach turn 11. Oh, and BMW looking around for the outside line. No possibility there. He's getting him off the circuit. Surely the Lippert Mercedes cannot hold on to 3rd place. No, he can't. In fact, 3rd has become 4th, has become 5th in the blink of an eye, because Simon Knapp could see what was happening. He wasn't napping, and he's dived around the outside as Marcus Lundstras, who's just been given a little push at turn 14 by the BMW driver. Lundstras did what he needed to do, and it's often the moment when you get a passing manoeuvre that the driver who's sitting in behind has an opportunity as well. Lundstras getting a bit loose going over the edge of the circuit at turn 15, but as they gather it up again, go through turn number 16 to complete another lap. It's 4 cars nose to tail, with the Ginetta trying to stay on the tail of that battle in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th and 7th positions. Then those 2 BMWs in behind. So an unfortunate moment there for the driver of the number 2 Mercedes. Started on the front row, even Pereiras, the Spaniard, a little bit wide, but a great exit from turn 10 yield dividends from Marcus Lundstrom, so he's back up into 3rd position. But that was very positive too from Simon Knapp, making the most of the opportunity, and now he's been pushed back again. So turn 1 and turn 2 was where the BMW lost a bit of ground. In fact, he's lost so much ground, he's just fallen back a further position. Paul Rees has moved around, so the lap chart has changed considerably, and 4th has become 6th because it's a slight problem. Is there a puncture maybe for Simon Knapp? He made that move, but now he's been troubled and harried by the Ginetta as well. So having got up to 4th place, he's suddenly back into 6th. It could easily become 7th as they go up through turn 9 up to turn 10. Can't see. Is that back left a little bit though? Can't quite tell with the shadow. Maybe I'm just imagining things, but certainly the order, bottom end of the top 6 is changing and changing fast. And look how Marcus Lundstrom has been able to drop them considerably down the back straight. Now Paul Rees has gone the outside line up into another position up the charts, but hasn't closed the door as they get down to turn 13. And the very feisty Ivan Pereiras has fought back all over again. He seems to make a poor entry to the straight and not have the momentum of the chasers, but he definitely is very, very late on the brakes down to turns 13 and 14. And that's why he's got back into position. Simon Knapp hanging in there, so he certainly can't have a puncture. It may have been he just had a little bit of an off-track moment. So the order keeps changing. The start of the lap, Simon Knapp was in 4th place. Now he's starting another lap. He's down into 6th as Paul Rees has gained position. Even Pereiras has been up and down the order. Will Tregurtha in the Ginetta right onto the tail of this grouping as well. But Marcus Lundstrom, the leader in the Pro-Am class, has made good his escape in 3rd place. He's 2.6 seconds clear. That was a very, very quick escape. But you can see why these are fighting so hard behind. No wonder they're compromising their lap times. So just to reiterate, Finley Hutchinson leading the race for McLaren, but you keep for sure McLaren 0.7 of a second. He's opened out an advantage again over Milan Donci in the number 5 Phoenix Racing Audi. Then Marcus Lundstrom leading the Pro-Am class, 3rd overall, 5 and a bit seconds down on Donci, but now got a bit of breathing space, which is more than Simon Knapp has, because Knapp now under attack from Will Tregurtha in this 55 Ginetta. Out of turn 8 they go. It looks like Ginetta may be able to dive up the inside into turn 9. He's certainly having a look. British driver having a look up the inside of the Dutchman. The Dutchman still confident enough to take the wider outside line. Just confident he had enough of an advantage that he couldn't be cut up the inside by the Ginetta chaser. This time around, blue McLaren, Paul Rees wheel not able to go around the outside of even Pereiras' Leipert Motorsports Mercedes down through the kink at 11, so a better entry to the back straight by Pereiras, and so he keeps his position. And suddenly the 2 BMWs, Ravzan Umberescu in 111 and his teammate in the 110, Bates-Gavissa, onto the tail of this group. They've been catching as the group ahead have delayed themselves by fighting, effectively over 4th through to 7th positions. Umberescu in 8th and 9th, with Bates-Gavissa in 9th position behind him. They've joined the train. Now they're going to get closer and closer as even Pereiras hangs on, and he's being pushed so hard by Paul Rees. There's Nicky Leutviller leading the way in the AM Cup in 10th overall, still clear of Gauzier Redest by 8 seconds, so he's comfortably in that position. Suddenly, gosh, we've got pit window open. Car number 23 has just had a spin and rejoined. That was Laura Kryhammer in the KTM Crossbow. So the first pit visitors rumble past my commentary position into the pit lane. Quite a lot of these runners have had in a Pro-Am pairing, they've had the AM in early on. So we can see some quicker drivers working their way up the order, but certainly some of the AMs have done a very good job. And unfortunately, having had this great progress I just talked about of Umberescu and Bates-Gavissa to get on the tail of this battle from 4th place backwards, they're both being investigated for overtaking under a yellow flag. So just as soon as we praise them for their progress, they could be a fly in their ointment. We'll wait and see. Pit window open, just stressing there's the number 9 V8 Racing Chevrolet Camaro. Looked fantastic in that metallic blue livery, and the sister car, the number 18 car, in alongside. Some of the early pit visitors, but certainly the drivers at the front end of the field have not wanted to come in. at all as yet. Paul Rees now ahead of Even Pereira. That's a change around this lap. So he's been trying for a while. He's had his nose ahead briefly. Now let's see if he can pull clear, because I think most of the drivers, once they get past Even Pereira's Mercedes, they're able to gain an advantage. Misano World diving into the pits. I think he's the first of the top 10 to make a pit visit, waiting for the signal. Milan Donch has come in as well. Sorry, I didn't notice the guy in second place has dived into the pit, so that leaves Hutchinson clear at the lead of the race. Simon Knapp continues. He's going to hand it over to Max Cobalt. And then every time Paul Rees gets ahead of Even Pereira, it gets handed back again within half a lap. So there is the Milan Donchi number 5 car. Started from pole, they didn't push back to second position, but they had a nice advantage over the third place runner. And so Milan's decided that Nikolai Müller-Madsen will get the lion's share of the race, but only just. It's a 1 hour race, and as you can see, we've got 33 minutes remaining. Up into second place, Markus Lundstrass. There is his number 16 Audi. Bends the gap back to Even Pereira, who spent his entire race just checking what's been happening behind him. Paul Rees going one side, he's overtaken him once, he may well do it again. At turn 8 though, it's still the red Mercedes in front, and now suddenly Simon Knapp has taken a different line, tried to pull alongside Paul Rees' McLaren, but he's going to go for the outside line around turn 9. There they are at 9, but he's probably going to run out of circuit at turn 10. He's going to have to come off the power and slot back in behind him. Wiltshire tucks in behind the BMW. And he's got Bateska Visser next in line behind him, now up into 8th place, because her teammate Ravzan Umbarescu, who shared victory yesterday, one of the early pit visitors. Seems like a long stop, but that's how they are in the GT4 series. And suddenly Simon Knapp has caught Paul Rees napping and dived up the inside, so he's regained a position. He's been yo-yoing up and down the order, as has so it's been a great battle, and certainly Even Pereira has enjoyed it. Simon Knapp's been doing overtaking. There goes Wiltshire diving into the pits from 7th place. He's probably getting a bit tired at the back of that battle. He'll hand over to Stuart Middleton. Markus Lundstrass now leading the race, because Finley Hutchinson at a halt in the pit lane, out of the lead of the race. So the leader and the second place car have come in to make the pit stops. The number 5 Audi back into the race, came in a lap earlier. As always, the teams check everything they can on this car, check nothing filling the radiators, nothing blocking any of the wheel arches. Back on the track, Nikolai Müller-Madsen now at the wheel. Heard from him before the race, sounded pretty confident indeed. But when you're starting on pole position, that is a fabulous place to be. Müller-Madsen, just having a look out of my window, running very, very wide out of turn 8. So he's pressing on very hard indeed as soon as he's got into that car, but wants to keep himself as calm as he can. But certainly he's pushing the boundaries of the circuit, trying to push very, very hard indeed. Now he's out of turn 10 onto the back straight, but he's not been pussyfooting while he's out there. So the Equipe Vauxhall McLaren pushed back away. They have to park in echelon formation in the pit lane. All along, out on the circuit is the car that was just behind it when it came to this round of pit stops. And God, this is a really, really hard push on lap from Nikolai Müller-Madsen. I think the race officials might just be watching him for track limits, but he's certainly trying to steal the odd 1/10 of a second here and there. He's going to need to get back, get into the lead of this race. Here he comes, out of turn 15, up to 16, onto the start-finish straight, waiting for the McLaren to get back onto the circuit. It's a very slow pit exit. It's a curving pit exit. There's the Ginetta now in the hands of Stuart Middleton, but where is Ricardo van der Ende? The pit exit joins the circuit after turn 3. We can see Nikolai Müller-Madsen through turn 1, through turn 3, but maybe if we have a shot from turn 5, we'll be able to see if the McLaren has rejoined a lap later, but in the lead of the race. There he is. There is, in fact, the lead has advantage, has regained the lead of the race and stretched the advantage despite the fantastic press on lap from Nikolai Müller-Madsen, who was really pushing the boundaries and beyond to try and gain those 1/10 of a second required. He's again out beyond the edge of the circuit as he chases after McLaren. He gave his absolute all, but it hasn't yielded any dividends. So the McLaren pit stop, nice and tidy. Good in that by Finley Hutchinson, no doubt. And now in the hands of Ricardo van der Ende, we have the next half hour of racing, which should be a real ding-dong battle between this pair. The big question is whether Hamza Avega can hold on to third place when he takes over from Markus Lundstrass, but he hasn't been given the car as yet. Lundstrass leading the Pro-Am class, leading the race ahead of Even Pereira, staying out as long as he possibly can. There's one of the V8 Racing Chevrolet Camaras, and in the background number 16, leading the race, but waiting and owing us a pit stop. Marcus Lundstrass going on as long as he can. Even Pereiras just losing another position on the circuit. But a lot of the cars in jumbled order. But in fact, that is the 111 car that's already made an early pit stop. That's Gabriele Piana. Look for him. He is going to be a driver that propels that 111 BMW up the order. Number 2, even Pereiras doesn't really want to be battling with him. There's a lap difference, and of course the Mercedes driver owes us a pit stop. But here comes that pit stop. And drive-through penalty for track limit abuse. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, I pointed out, he was off the track about 3 points on his outlap, and unfortunately he's got a drive-through penalty, so all advantage he gained, those little tenths of a second, has been blown, and that really surely has handed the race to the number 10 McLaren. How unfortunate, but there were various transgressions. I saw 2, possibly 3 around the outlap. It may well be for track limits before, when it was Milan Donci, but I really sense it was the outlap from Nikolai Moller-Madsen that's done the damage and earned the drive-through penalty. So a disaster for Phoenix Racing. They've shown such pace here, but all of their cars have been hit with little problems and offences through yesterday's race, and it's carried on today. But certainly that has transformed the race. So cars like the number 1 BMW in the pits will have an elevation in the order, barring disasters. So there is our race-leading McLaren. There's the second place Audi in the background of the shafts. They go past one of the Celislaw Racing Team Mercedes, but unfortunately for the Audi driver, for Nikolai Moller-Madsen, he's got to serve the drive-through penalty for gaining advantage by abusing track limits, and black and white warning flag for car number 77. That's one of the Racing One Audis, Saba Moore and Patrick Zamparini. They too have a potential penalty coming their way. They've got a warning flag. It's tight in the pits as the number 2 Mercedes made that pit stop, and even Pereiras is handing it over to Marcus Paverud, the Norwegian racer. He's waiting for the signal to go. Looks so now he's being held. So he's lost a second or 2, and bearing in mind that Simon Knapp was in the thick of battle, Max Cobalt may be behind that battle when he rejoins. A second here or there can make a big difference in such a competitive championship. Oh, and then you get drivers pinged for not meeting the minimum pit stop time, but number 12 unfortunately being under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. That's the Borusan Automotive Motorsport, the Turkish entered BMW. Normally runs just outside the top 10, and that would drop them down the order if indeed they're given the punishment. So with all the front runners having made their pit stops now, at the end of this next lap we'll have the true positional order clear for all to see. The number 2 Mercedes back on the track in the hands of Ivan Paverud, but it was ahead of the Ginetta before the pit stops. It's behind it now, so that goes to show when you make your pit stop can make a major difference, but very happily getting straight back onto the tail of it, so it shows the pace is there. And Gabriele Piana in the 111 BMW, that is definitely a car to watch. The back of that little grouping. There's the Ginetta, then the Mercedes, and then Gabriele Piana. Winner yesterday with his teammate Ravzan Umbarescu tucked in behind. Simon Knapp, that little delay in the pit stop has dropped him behind the BMW from the other team. And now a drive-through penalty for car 12. We just talked about that for speeding in the pit lane. For the Turkish BMW, their race really spoiled very much by the penalty, but the penalty is there for obvious reasons. But just watch this 111 BMW. I think that is the one that's got the pace for this second half of the race. And another car number 87, being looked at for speeding in the pit lane. That was Paul Rees Nico Rindisbacher. Don't forget that was in the top 6. The McLaren all out on its own in this race. Ricardo van der Ende got things very much under control. And just looking to see if the number 5 car is coming in. Moller-Madsen's made the second visit to the pits. That's dropped him way down the order. So Stuart Middleton now pressing on the HHC Motorsport Ginetta. Even Paverud for company, then the one tucked in behind is Nico Menzel, then the second of the BMWs is Gabriele Piana, the 111 teammate. So Nico Menzel managed to scramble the order. The car that was started by Bates Kavissa has moved ahead of the 111, yesterday's winners. I sense that Stuart Middleton is now starting to drop the pack. HHC Motorsport car just starting to drop because the Mercedes, with even Pavril at the wheel, is being pushed very hard indeed. The number 2 Lippert Motorsport Mercedes, and he's having to focus on his rear mirrors more. In fact, being challenged by Nico Menzel to go round turn 8. The Mercedes almost in another country as it goes out wide on the exit. So too does 111 Gabriele Piana. He wasn't as far off the circuit, but place change. But there's a side. This Mercedes, doesn't matter if it's even Pereiras or now Marcus Pavril, they never give up. They always attack. If they're overtaken, they just simply fight right back. But it cost them. They had a very messy entry to turn number 10. I think they can lose out to both of the BMWs now. They won't have had the traction out of the corner, and that valiant defence proved to be a bit of a folly. And Nico Menzel suddenly got Gabriele Piana, his teammate, right on his tail and carrying a bit more momentum down through turns 12 and 13. And in the background of the shot we have the number 1 Max Cobalt BMW. We know it has pace. In the hands of Simon Knapp, it was right at the sharp end of the field, but a slightly slow release from the pit stop is why it's behind the 2 BMWs from the rival team from RN Vision STS. The MDM Motorsport crew will have to try and keep on pressing on. Max Cobalt is trying to push the Mercedes, but at the moment, if anything, actually slightly losing ground. So it's Ricardo van der Ende from Hamza Owega with 14-second advantage. That's tidy. Of course, the number 5 Audi with that drive-through penalty has gone tumbling down the order to 11th place overall. Just checking the timing screen. So, but he can probably get up to about 6th place. 22 minutes remaining in this race. I would reckon 5th or 6th place could be a possible target for Nikolai Moller-Madsen if he doesn't transgress any further. But certainly that's a massive advantage for Ricardo van der Ende. He was confident before the race, but he couldn't have been confident that the challenge from the number 5 Phoenix Racing Audi that was starting from pole position would be eliminated, and it most certainly has with that drive-through penalty. Hamza Owega in the 16 Audi, 2nd place overall, being hunted down by Stuart Middleton. Stuart in the number 55 Ginetta, 2nd yesterday, sharing with Will Tregurtha, could well be 2nd again today. Can't match the pace of the race-leading McLaren. Now here's the number 5 Audi trying to make up ground all over again around Nicky Leutwiler. So just to reiterate, drive-through penalty cost Nikolai Moller-Madsen. He just came out after his pit stop. He ran wide about 3 times and was pinged for exceeding track limits, and that's why the drive-through penalty dropped him down outside the top 10. He's now back into the top 10, but the guy he should be fighting, Ricardo van der Ende, the number 10 McLaren, is way clear. 14 seconds clear at the front of the field last time around. It's now 16.6 seconds clear. And Hamza Owega crosses the start-finish line, 2.7 seconds clear of the blue and white Ginetta. And then that whole host of BMWs up into 4th place now. Nico Menzel, 5th place, the 111, Gabriele Piana. Marcus Pavril, 6th in the red Lippert Motorsport Mercedes, and Max Cobalt in the MDM BMW, tucked in behind, number 1. There's the 5th place car of Gabriele Piana. And just another message on the screen, another car under investigation for possible transgression of pit stop time. There's a minimum pit stop time, and the Reiter Engineering KTM Crossbow have got Gottfried Pilz and Matthias Drescher being investigated. If you don't hit the minimum pit stop time, you get a far bigger penalty than the second or so you might have saved by transgressing and coming out just too quickly. So Stuart Middleton took a little bit of a while to get past that Sileslar Racing team Mercedes. The BMWs have been able to close in on him, and now the Ginetta racer can concentrate on chasing off after this. The number 16 Racing 1 Audi. Hamza Owega took it over from Marcus Lundstrass. They finished 3rd in yesterday evening's race, and they're looking set for another podium here because they're running on their own at their own pace, which is a rare treat in a GT4 race. So these should be good laps for Hamza Owega. Hasn't got the pace anywhere near the pace of Ricardo van der Ende. Last time around, 2.2 seconds in 1 lap was the difference. Car 24 is a 2-second stop and go penalty. That, as I just mentioned, was the Reiter Engineering KTM Crossbows. So whatever position they're in, number 13th position in this 43 car field is going to get a whole lot lower. There's the message on the screen. I must say the black colours on the front wings of the Orange Vision STS cars. Makes it look so some of the wing is missing when you see them from a certain angle in bright sunlight, but seems to be no body damage to the number 111 car. It's chasing its teammate with an easier to see livery. That's Nico Menzel, 4th and 5th positions. There they are. They seem to have the pace of Stuart Middleton. Stuart Middleton in the 55 Ginetta is catching Hamza Vega, but not at a great rate of not. Oh, suddenly new fastest lap of the race by the driver of the car, down in 8th place overall. KTM Crossbows coming good in the hands of Reinhard Koffler. Ferdinand Stuck, son of Hans Joachim, took the start of the race, and Reinhard is absolutely flying. He's 4 seconds down on the number 1 BMW, just off the back of this group, which is Max Kobold. There it was, just flashing through the screen, but eventually in the background of the shot, yeah, the KTM Crossbow is coming. It's just going out into the shot at the back of this pack in turn 10. Fastest car in the field. It's behind that silver Mercedes. There it is, orange, black and green, and Reinhard Koffler absolutely flying in the number 22. Up to 8th place, and oh yeah, he's taking great chunks of time out of Max Kobold in the number 1 BMW. He's got to get past the Celislaw Mercedes, which is a lap down, but been a little bit of an obstruction for the group as they've come through, but now he stays very kindly out of the way, so well done the driver of that silver Mercedes, which I think was probably Louis-Philippe Sonnen, who's driving solo. Black and white warning flag for the driver of car number 7. Here's another person about to be pinged. That's quite a way down the order. Car number 7, Street Art Racing, Aston Martin. They've been great supporters of the championships over the years. Wow, the rate of gain that Reinhard Koffler is having. And in behind, there's Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Could have been challenging for the lead. Came out just behind the McLaren that had been leading by a small margin before the pit stops. In fact, he came out before it. Back off the track a lap before it, pressed too hard, got those exceeding track limits warnings, and unfortunately there were too many. Seemed to have an advantage, given a stop-go penalty. Now Moller-Madsen up to 9th place, like the car in front of him, Reinhard Koffler, cutting his way up the order. Nicky Leutwiler now finally out of the top 10, ran as high as about 6th or 7th place, but he's still leading the AM class by a very tiny margin indeed. Now we're having a possible change of place behind the battle for 4th place. Nico Menzel and Gabriele Piana. Piana has got his nose in front, he's on the left of the screen at 111. I said he'd be coming through. Has he made the move stick, or will Nico Menzel brave it around the outside down to turn 12? No, he's decided he will slot in behind. So good move there from Piana, and that's allowed Pavarud to close right in on them. There they are, BMW and Mercedes, 4th, 5th and 6th positions. Max Kobold is going to be challenged very soon for the position behind, because Reinhard Koffler is closing right in. Just saw the KTM driver flashing into view, and we get the head-on shot looking back towards turn 16. There is turn 16. Oh yes, you can see the crossbow is right with the MDM Motorsport BMW. Likewise, Stuart Middleton is right with the car in 2nd place. Hamza Vega hasn't had the pace, 0.6 of a second taken out of his advantage. No place change at turn 1, no place change at turn 2, through the sweep at turn 3. Still in the 2nd place in the hands of the Pro-Am class leader, but he's being harried, and certainly for Middleton, he's caught him. Now he's got to pass him and do so soon. Well, I didn't think as soon as turn 4, but the move has been made, and it's been made work very well indeed. Turn 4 to turn 5 was very good, because if he was delayed at all behind Hamza Vega, the pack behind would have got onto his tail, and certainly didn't want that. Now Hamza Vega's got 3 potentially faster drivers coming right onto his tail. Gabriele Piana, 110 is Nico Menzel, and even Pavarud in the Lippert Motorsport Mercedes. I think Hamza's going to have problems keeping them behind. He's got 15 minutes of this race remaining. There is Hamza in the number 16 Audi, going a little bit wide, and the chasing BMW, particularly in the hands of Gabriele Piana, making a far tidier entry to turn 9 and 10, and therefore should carry more speed down the back straight. About 10 lengths behind the Audi. In fact, the Audi's got back on to tail, having been passed by Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta. He's thinking this part of the circuit suits me better, and he's staying with the British racer. So there is confirmation. Nearly 20 seconds the advantage our race leader, Ricardo van der Ende, has in his McLaren over the Ginetta of Stuart Middleton. And Hamza Vega not far behind, but Gabriele Piana, 4th place, closing right in the 111 BMW. He's now not just past his teammate Nico Menzel, but starting to drop him. Menzel being pushed by even Pavarud in the Lippert Motorsport Mercedes. checking the lap speed. A slower lap for our race leader. He's got no pressure on him. Certainly pressure on Nico Menzel there, so he can afford to back off. Might have been a bit of a back marker, but 0.6 of a second came out of his advantage, but it's gone down to 18.7 seconds. I think Ricardo van der Ende can live with that. Ricardo's the sort of driver with so much experience that winning this race at the lowest possible speed may well be something on his into his consideration. Contact there between Nico Menzel and Ethan Pavarud. Certainly the body language of the cars was they were getting very close indeed. Lights flashing from Pavarud, so suggesting he's saying, I think maybe it's time you got out of my way. I'm going to be trying to come through. But the BMW driver prevails. For Hamza Avega now being given a real workout by Gabriele Panna. This is the battle for third place, and that's allowed the second place driver, the Ginetta driver, Stuart Middleton, to make good his escape in second place, because for a while Hamza Avega hung on, but you can see the Audi being pushed very hard down the back straight, and is the BMW going to sweep around the outside? That's certainly the intention of Gabriele Piana. We've seen it before, we've seen it again. They have to get the car back onto the track before they get to turn 12. He's managed it, so now up into third place, Gabriele Piana. Don't forget, this was yesterday's winner. Today they started in 11th place on the grid, so up to third. That is very, very promising indeed. Piana just so confident to throw that BMW around. Very, very promising driver. No wonder so many manufacturers are looking at him and wanting to get him onto their books. Take a look at this replay. The 76 Orlando Sport car right in the thick of battle. And unfortunately for the AM class leader, round he goes, sorry, no, second in class. So Giovanelli spins, still leading the AM class is Nicky Leutvilla, but unfortunately they're pressing on. The Orlando Sport car enjoyed a great day yesterday, but unfortunately that little spin by Giovanelli has not helped the cause today. Reinhard Koffler, what a star this driver is. He's now right on the tail, buying a bit of peace for Nico Menzel as he challenges, as he puts the pressure on Ethan Pavarud, diving up the inside into turn 8. Almost worked. The KTM crossbow just looking so much more nimble. Didn't quite work this time, but you feel it's just a matter of when he makes the move stick. The Austrian racer just such a positive force in KTM crossbows. He's the master of this particular type of car. So almost to the final, back on another warning flag. That's car number 24. That they've had a warning for other offences earlier in the race. Drive-through penalty for car number 18. That's one of the two V8 Racing Camaros for constant abuse of track limits. So the officials are watching. The drivers know that. Reinhard Koffler knows that. So he's going to try and stay within the white lines to make his pass on the Lippert Motorsport Mercedes. And such has been his pace in the race, you just feel he's easily able to do that. But both the starting driver in the Lippert Motorsport car, even Pereiras and now Marcus Pavarud, are made of very, very stern stuff. Lights flashing, want to go past the McLaren without any interruption. So that move is effected very easily indeed. Also need to keep an eye. I reckoned earlier that Nikolai Moller-Madsen might get up into the top 6. Well, he just gained another position. He's now up. Does that make it 6th place? No, it's 7th place because Reinhard Koffler has gone past him as well. So Mercedes suddenly has had a bad half a lap or so and shed 2 places. And look how far and clear that the Koffler KTM crossbow. Once he got past that, Mercedes is rocketing away from it, and he's soon going to be up on the tail of Nico Menzel by the looks of things in the BMW. Nikolai Moller-Madsen will be thinking what could have been but for that drive-through penalty, but he's still making progress. Progress means points, points mean potential championships, and that's what they're looking for. Reinhard Koffler continues to hunt, and dearie me, car number 13 going for a big spin. That's the Mark Batting, Philip Bethke Porsche Cayman. That's always a feature in this championship, but that rotation down at turn 13, that's a lot of gravel he got to drive through there, but very well caught at the end of it. That's Mark Basseng at the wheel. Just trying to dive very deep into the corner and running out of, as Juan Pablo Montoya said when he put the car off at Le Mans, he said, I simply ran out of talent, which is a good, honest answer, but you've got to try, and going as deep as you dare can lead to going just too deep. So Nikolai Moller-Madsen continues his chase. He's now trying to catch up with Reinhard Kofler in the KTM Crossbow. Just in front of him is, in 5th place, is Nico Menzel in the 1:10.0. Well, not for long, because Reinhard Kofler didn't want a second invitation. So nimble, that KTM Crossbow. Another place gain, so what an impressive run. Just looking to see, it was the 8th row, 17th position on the, sorry, the 15th position on the grid. Started by Ferdinand Stuck, and the True Racing KTM Crossbow, just one of the stars in this final third of the race. And for Nico Menzel, he's lost a couple of positions. Moller-Madsen's now in front of him in the Phoenix Racing Audi, and clearly that number 22 KTM Crossbow, True Racing, on a massive charge in the hands of Reinhard Kofler. By the way, our race lead has sort of stayed fairly stable recently. Slightly coming down, Stuart Middleton, but he's 16 seconds down on Ricardo van der Ende, who's very experienced Dutchman, who's doing what he needs to do this race. Great to get out in a race and just have the confidence to adapt your pace. He can wind it down the final 8 minutes of this race. Sitting on an advantage like that is a massive luxury. Right, Reinhard Kofler, his next target will be Hamza Avega, who ran as high as 2nd in this race. In fact, Marcus Lundstrass, his teammate, led the race, but that was during the pit stop sequence, but easily leading the Pro-Am class. The next car in that class is the number 112 Orange Vision STS BMW, Miguel Christovau and Pavel Lefterov, so he's got the Pro-Am honours in the bag. Nikolai Moller-Madsen going very well. He's matching the pace of Reinhard Kofler. They're almost on the tail now of Hamza Avega. You can see the red and grey Audi coming down to turn 1. The KTM Crossbow getting close to the other Audi. This one, the pole starting Audi, now closing in as well. Avega's going to have to hang on for the next 7 minutes. I'm not sure he's got the armoury to do that. Far less experience than the chasing drivers. I said Nikolai Moller-Madsen may get up to about 6th place. When he's got that in the bag already, he could well get up to 5th. Reinhard Kofler has handling to spare around the tight corners in the KTM Crossbow. So he's gained that position up to 4th place. Next person to try and challenge Hamza Avega, young German, will be this driver, Nikolai Moller-Madsen. So at the moment it's racing 1 Audi ahead of Phoenix Racing Audi. Phoenix Racing Audi diving up the inside into turn 8, nose in front, car in front, position done. So he's up to 5th place. Hamza Avega may think about trying to fight back into turn 9, but that will lead to a compromise at turn 10. He has fought back, but will he be running wide? That will be the suggested line he would take. Oh, tail coming out now. He couldn't put the power down. The car got loose, and he tried his hardest, but that's a classic, well, not a beginner's error, but he just didn't want to cede position, but unfortunately it's cost him a whole lot of momentum. They've got away from him now, and it allowed those behind to maybe get a better run down the back straight. So that was an unfortunate, but it will be a moment that Hamza Avega will learn from, most certainly. The far more experienced Nikolai Moller-Madsen knew what he was doing when he got in front. Even Marcus Paverud now fighting very hard in the number 2 Mercedes, trying to depose Nico Menzel. Certainly both the drivers of the Lippert Motorsport Mercedes have been very, very feisty out on the circuit, always looking to fight back. Even if they've been passed, always determined to immediately try and take the position back, and that still seems true right now. Nico Menzel under great pressure. Nico Menzel in 7th, Paverud there, number 2 Mercedes in 8th place overall. 9th and 10th, Max Kobold and Pavel Lefterov. Pavel is running 2nd in the Pro-Am class. Into the final 5 minutes of the race. 1st to 2nd now, 14.6 seconds. Stuart Middleton is closing in, but you don't have to do the maths really. He's not going to be able to catch the race-leading McLaren. Number 10 McLaren out comfortably in front of this race. All the fighting is in the second half of the top 10, and we're enjoying some of that right now. Lights flashing from even Paverud. He wants to get past Nico Menzel, wants to unsettle Nico Menzel down the cut towards turn 8, but Menzel in the BMW's got enough of an advantage not to have to worry that particular point. But through the corner, wow, huge amount of extra speed that Paverud was carrying at that point. One of the Porsche Caymans pulling off the circuit to keep out of the way. I don't know if he's just trying to keep out of the way, if he's got a puncture. We did see Mark Basseng go for a spin in his. And as I look up, Oh yes, travelling very slowly out of the corner, down the back straight. I think that's limping home to retire. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, Porsche came. Yes, he's indicating I'm staying to the side of the circuit. A very nice bit of driving there. Just noticed one of the fastest laps, the last 3 laps, has been set by the driver down in 34th position of the 36 runners. It's Matt Nicol-Jones, so they've got the Academy Motorsport Aston Martin back to the pits. We saw it pulled over at the side of the circuit, and Matt's just out there for pride and for fun. But he's setting very, very good lap times, faster than the top, well, in fact, any of the top 10 last time around. Nico Menzel under a huge amount of pressure from even Marcus Paverud. Holds on in the BMW ahead of the Mercedes, but certainly that Mercedes has been fighting with someone every single metre of the race so far. We're getting towards the end though, we're down towards the final 3 minutes of this race. Car number 30 now getting a warning flag for disrespecting track limits. That's Celestar Racing Team, Johan van der Rum and Nicholas van Dierendonk. So it's not just the drivers at the front who are being looked at. Gabriele Piana, I must say that's a very good race, up on the podium victory yesterday for the 111 BMW racer. He's being hunted down though by Reinhard Koffler, but pretty much matching the speed. They're trading tenths of a second here or there, so it should be, I would reckon, at the end of the race. Ricardo van der Ende taking victory. Second place should go to Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta. Third place to Gabriele Piana. Beyond that, it's pretty much anyone's guess, because as you can see, the fighting is still very, very fierce indeed. Looking at Nico Menzel still holding off Marcus Paverud. Ought to let Max Koval catch him, but he's 3 and a bit seconds back in that number 1 BMW, so that's not going to happen. But just fantastic racing, and a few back markers making it slightly harder for the chasers. Get past, but now number 30 does pull out of the way. That's Johan van der Rum, Nicholas van Dierendonk, car, the one that was just warned for getting in the way. Are there going to be any more place changes in the top 10 runners? Certainly not for want of trying. You can see them breaking into pairs, but Ricardo van der Ende leading the race very comfortably. 13.6 seconds his advantage. So there's not going to be any place changes for the lead. It's really the tail end of the top 6. Can Paverud in the number 2 Mercedes catch and pass Nico Menzel's BMW? I don't think so. He's very, very close. Hamza Vega just in front of the 2 of them. He will coming home in 6th place if he can hang on, but still a little way to go, but under a second, so he's under increasing pressure. But Vega leading the Pro-Am class as this driver, Ricardo van der Ende, is leading the overall race. But the difference is Ricardo has no pressure from behind. The gap will be down to about 12 seconds at the end of the race. It doesn't matter. He's kept it clean. He's kept out of the way. He's accelerating out of turn 10, down the back straight. Who else is in shot? Nobody who's chasing him. They're not yet through turn 9, so big is his advantage. And now Paverud going up the inside of Nico Menzel. Place change there, so they've swapped position. I thought that was the only place to have a place change, but they may both yet pass Hamza Vega, the red and gold, silver and black Audi, still just in front of their 2nd place Ginetta. Looking back to 3rd place Gabriele Piana. In fact, I'll just have to check the timing screen. So we just had Gabriele Piana going slowly down the back straight. I'll have to adjust my set to see while this battle's going on. Hamza Vega's about to lose another position on this, the final lap. He's being pushed very hard. He's very brave though. He keeps his foot in there and still stays ahead of number 2, Marcus Paverud. Paverud though dives up the inside into turn 16. 1 lap to go for this grouping. We reached the end of an hour. Hamza Vega slightly obstructing himself there. Lights flashing, the BMW comes through as well, so Nico Menzel goes up a position, but don't forget Hamza Vega is heading to the Pro-Am class honours. There's Nico Menzel at number 110. No, we didn't have Piano going slowly. Piano. The car that is going slowly, hold on, we've lost the Ginetta. The Ginetta was in 2nd place, Stuart Middleton, has suddenly fallen to 5th place. That was why I couldn't work out what was going on. The car suddenly moved slowly, I didn't quite see which one it was. Thought it was Gabriele Piana, but he's gone up into 2nd place overall, so I don't know what the problem is for the Ginetta, but suddenly with 1 lap to go it's tumbling down in order. No such problems for Ricardo van der Ende, as he is clear. Now look for for the Ginetta, not in that pack. Are they all gaining place as well? Oh dear, the Orlando Sport being passed on all sides. Given a tap up the back, there's the Ginetta in 55. Has there been a transponder problem? Where is he around the lap? No, looks like he's fallen behind Nikolai Moller-Madsen as well. Don't forget, these are fighting for championship positions, so it's been all changed. Can't see what the problem is, but Nikolai Moller-Madsen, that therefore should move him up into 4th place. So that's been quite a recovery drive. And for number 1, 110 and 110 and 111 as the race is completed round the final corner. I'll come back to them in a second, but here comes victory round the final corner for the last time. Ricardo van der Ende just showboating. It's been a very dominant win. Of course, the number 5 Audi was taken out of the challenge with that drive-through penalty. Second place will go to Gabriele Piana, but only just from Reinhard Koffler. What a star the KTM racer is. Which one's going to be in front across the line? It's just the BMW. Gabriele Piana, victory yesterday with Ramzan Umberescu, and second place today. I'll take the next through over the line. Nikolai Moller-Madsen in 4th. Stuart Middleton tumbling back in the jet to 5th. And number 2, Marcus Pavrud in his Mercedes coming home 6th. Nico Menzel in 7th place. And Pavel Lefterov, 8th place overall, winning the Pro-Am class. Right, now I'm going to come up to the comment I was going to. The message on the bottom of the screen, the car that finished 2nd, 111, and the car number 7, in 7th place, its teammate, number 110, under investigation for overtaking under yellow flags. That was raised earlier in the race, and it's still being put back onto the screen. So potentially the car that's finished 2nd and the car that finished 7th, both teammates could have a little problem coming their way, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Another story in the race, not just the easy eventual win for Yekit for Shaw McLaren, the drive-through penalty for number 5 that dropped it down outside the top 10, coming back to 4th place, but also the sudden demise with a lap and a half of go, the car that was safe in 2nd place, the HHC Motorsport Ginetta, ended up in 5th place overall, so it's all changed. Incident throughout this race, as you'd expect. 43 cars coming out to play on a circuit that provides excellent racing. And just to run through the top 3 finishes in the Pro-Am class, it was the 1112 BMW that won that class in 8th place overall. Hamza Avega tumbled down in those final few laps. He led it really till right at the end, got muscled out. He fell to 10th place when it looked as though he'd got that in the bag. Marcus Lundstrass started. Oh dear. Needs some marshals there very quickly indeed. That 87 McLaren at the side of the track. Nico Rindlisbacher waving furiously to come and attend. That hasn't quite made it back to the paddock after the end of the race. Nicky Leutwiler, by the way, easily won the AM class. So hopefully that fire can be put out very quickly indeed. And we saw the spinning Orlando Porsche recovered to finish 2nd in AM, and car 39, Sylvain Debs, Gwenelle Delomier, their 3Y Technology BMW, were 3rd in class. But the class of the field was that McLaren that started from 4th place overall, stroked home to a comfortable win, 10.3 seconds. In fact, we saw an advantage of nearly 20 seconds at one point in the race, but Ricardo van der Ende knew he didn't have to take any risk, knew he could afford to run just a little bit off the ultimate pace. What he had to do was done when the drive-through penalty was served. Was ahead at the time, but unfortunately for the 5 Phoenix Racing Audi, the drive-through penalty dropped them right down the order. So it was a fantastic recovery drive by Nikolai Moller-Madsen to get it back up to 4th place at flag 4. So as the cars come in, another hour packed full of incident for the European GT4 Series. And a much happier result today for that number 10 McLaren. First to the checker flag yesterday, but a 40-second penalty dropped to 10th over to 20th overall today. Far better job done. So Finlay Hutchinson out there, the Scottish driver, to say thank you, fantastic run to Ricardo van der Ende. But what do you expect? Ricardo is the gold standard in the GT4 European Series.
Guys, so nice.
So huge excitement from the Gabriele Piana crew. Ramzan Umberescu coming out to congratulate him as well. Great deal of excitement down there, possibly a bit of bad language, for which I apologise. Three classes of racing, of course. The overall the Pro-Am and the Am. But let's go down to hear from the winners. Finley Hutchinson, the driver who brought it home. Ricardo van der Ende with Dakota.
Absolutely amazing race. I know this is the win that you deserve today.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Ricardo done a phenomenal job when he got in the car, and I tried my best to save the tyres for him to give him a car to race with at the end. So, what did you think?
I think you've done all the job, really. He gave me a great car to race. He came from 4th, overtook all the guys, handed over the car in P1, and for me it was just an easy walk in the park, so thanks Finley. Cool.
You said you were going to hunt down the competition.
Yeah, I told Muller-Matze before, I said, oh, watch the track limits, but he didn't, so he got a penalty as well. So the gap looks a little bit big to the other guys, but really happy for the win for Equipe Verschuren and McLaren, because I think we needed this a little.
Congratulations to both of you.
They certainly do. When we come to see the highlights, we see those fantastic overtaking manoeuvres that Finley Hutchinson pulled off frequently around the outside at turn 12. Very brave down the back straight, but he picked off the fastest drivers, got to the front, and as Ricardo van der Ende said, with the number 5 Audi picking up that penalty, the drive-through penalty, it took them out of the mix, and it made his run to the end very easy. But he still had to deliver, and deliver he did. There the cars looking fantastic, of course. 3 of them, 3 different classes. We see 3 different podiums, and I think the biggest smiles really, it was relief all round for Equipe Verschuren. They had a 2nd place in the opening race of the season at Zolder, but since then a 9th was their best offering. And despite the pace yesterday, despite coming first to the checkered flag yesterday, that 40-second penalty dropped them right out to 20th place. But here, 10 seconds clear at the end, and second yesterday, Rosan Umberescu and Gabriele Piano. Sorry, first yesterday, second today. Ferdinand Stuck will be delighted at the form of his teammate, Reinhard Koffler. What a star. Almost snatched 2nd place at the end, charging up from way down the grid. Milan Doncha, Nicola Moller-Madsen, that drive-through penalty really cost them, but the never say die from Moller-Madsen, he got them back up to 4th. Just ahead of Will Tregurtha and Stuart Middleton, who looked as though 2nd place was in the bag, but a problem with a lap and a half to go. They tumbled down to 5th, but at least they finished. Then even Pereiras and Marcus Pavrud, not one corner of the 1 hour race were they not fighting with someone, so they should have enjoyed their battle in the number 2 Mercedes to take 6th place overall. Winning car in Pro-Am was in 8th, the winning car in Am was the 222. Nicky Leutwiler, Porsche Cayman, 12th overall, winning the Am class, and many battles the whole way down the order. Right at the end we saw the Paul Rees, Nico Rindisplacker, McLaren having a little bit of a smoky issue at the side of the circuit. Hopefully that has been put out, so they ended up down the order, but they were right at the sharp end when Paul Rees was running in about 5th and 6th position in the early stages of the race. So yet again, another mixing, another stirring of the pot in the GT4 European Series. It just simply gets better and better, and in the wonderful summer sunshine here at the Misano World Circuit is certainly one of their most impressive displays. Plenty of overtaking around this circuit, all the way right down to the tail of the field. And a little bit of interest right down the tail is also some of the runners who had problems fighting their way back, and even some of those down at the back finishing very strongly indeed. Most notably Matt Nicol-Jones, who was getting his Academy Motorsport Aston Martin to really fly, lapping at the pace of the front runners, but was down at the tail of the field after the car had come to a halt earlier in the event. May yet still be some problems for number 110 and that finished 7th, and 111 that finished 2nd, but there's no point guessing at that, but they are under investigation, so just bear that in mind. But certainly no protests about the car that won yesterday, won again today, but yesterday 40-second penalty moved the number 10 Equipe Verschuren McLaren right to the back of the pack. But today you can see Finley Hutchinson is back to the camera, waiting to go out on the podium. They've taken victory and they thoroughly deserve it.
Avremo con noi Max Brams, uno dei responsabili della GT4 European Series per consegnare I trofei.
But I certainly want to see the face of Reinhard Koffler. He fought so hard to get up and nearly snatch 2nd place. That was a fantastic run for the 22 True Racing KTM Crossbow. Started in 15th place on the grid, and that just emphasised not only was he quick, but he was tidy and efficient when it came to overtaking, building on the work of Ferdinand Stuck in the first part of the race.
Chiamiamo Milan Donci e Marcus Lundstrass che ricevono I cronografi ufficiali da Max Brams. Belli gli orologi in certina. Andiamo però sul podio, sul podio cominciano Milan Donci, miglior tempo della Silver Cup, e Marcus Lundstrass.
So 3rd place.
Orologi in certina, un bel applauso.
Now these are watches used for qualifying positions, and so Marcus Lundstrass, the tall figure closer to camera. So they're going off, and then we'll have the other podiums, the main podiums for where people finished in the races. So always happy to take home a watch for a weekend's activity.
Trofei e spumante champagne per la categoria GT4 Silver Cup. Attendiamo l'ok. Una volta che verranno disposte le bottiglie, I trofei sono pronti, sarà sempre Max Brams.
See the sheer amount of chat, a lot to talk about for all the drivers down there, and a few raised fists. Looks like a young Stuck who's very happy with life.
Ferdinand Stuck, Rainer Koffler.
So Ferdinand Stuck, see him coming to the foreground, and Reinhard Koffler, the shorter figure, who just drove a fantastic second half of the race. So nearly second place overall, but they'll be delighted with third place. Great to see a KTM crossbow still mixing it. They were at the front end of the grid a few years ago, but certainly the challenge, new manufacturers coming in, changing things. But victors yesterday, second place today, a really fantastic run for Gabriele Piana, the taller figure, and the Romanian Ravzan Umbarescu. They're going up into the second place step on the podium. But victory today, it was almost never in doubt after the pit stops, after the drive-through penalty for number 5. They already had it in the bag, I sensed. But Finley Hutchinson leading onto the podium, and Ricardo van der Ende, yet another win in the GT4 European Series for him.
Un applauso al podio e comincia così la cerimonia con la consegna del trofeo all'equipaggio che ha colto il
So after the rendition of the Dutch national anthem for Equipe Verschoor, the winning team, more pats on the back between Finley Hutchinson and his mentor Ricardo van der Ende. And not just 2 seasons ago, Finley was racing, young Scottish racer, was racing in Formula Renault, but he moved across to GT4 last year, came 5th in the European Series, and appears to be going from strength to strength. 18 at the start of this year, so again one of the young teenagers in this championship, definitely one to watch, and that has put their season back on track.
So guys, official picture, please all together on the same step, showing the trophies if you can. Okay, up the caps and champagne.
Drivers too interested in getting to spray the fizz than get onto the top step for one group photo. Ferdinand Stuck painfully slow to uncork his bottle, so he's got a Reinhard Koffler's given a real face full of spray, but you can see the bearded figure of Ferdinand Stuck enjoying life up on the podium. Theirs was a very, very good race. But certainly with a victory yesterday and second place today, Ravzan Umbarescu just going off the podium wearing the glasses, and his young teammate Gabriele Piana, they have every reason to adore their visit here to Misano. 5th place, a sudden drop at the end of the race. It hasn't affected things too much because Strugurtha and Middleton fell from 2nd to 5th. They're still leading the championship, 13 points clear of Milan Donce and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Could have been a lot worse with that drive-through penalty. Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt, there or thereabouts, finished in 9th place today. They're running 3rd. But we see other people moving up. There's quite a gap back down to Tribadini and Jean, who ended up still 4th in the championship. But the people on the move are Gabriele Piana and Ravzan Umbarescu in 5th place, coming, and the team behind them, the pairing behind them, Finley Hutchinson and Ricardo van der Ende. So those that had poor points tallies are coming through, which is just what makes the championship so very, very exciting indeed. Just think 2 laps before the end of that, we could have had Strugurtha and Middleton even further clear, but for that glitch that dropped them down the order. Looking at the squads coming out in the Pro-Am running, Gozir Adest and Cedric Freiberg House on the right of the podium. Phoenix Racing Audi. 2nd in the Pro-Am class, Hamza Avega and Marcus Lundstrass. They won it yesterday, but today's winner, Pavel Lefterov, in the one, and Miguel Cristóvão, the Portuguese racer, are in Vision STS. So BMW's really proving very strong. You can see Miguel with his Portuguese flag.
Un applauso al podio ed è il momento con Peter Koren di Pirelli di consegnare i trofei. Cominciamo con il team che ha conquistato la 3ª posizione, Phoenix Racing Deutschland. Un bel applauso a Dest e a Freibraff, un bel applauso. Quindi, seconda posizione per il team Racing One.
So Gozir Adest, Polish racer, very, very pleased with her trophy there. on the Cedric Freiburg house. Markus Lundstrass, he knows what the winner's trophy is. He now knows what it's like to finish second. You can see the tall figure with the pink flash on his overalls on the left of the podium. Miguel Cristobal, very happy, along with Pavel Lefterov up on the top step of the podium. They've enjoyed a really thoroughly good meeting, and certainly the RN Vision STS crew have really enjoyed the racing action here at Misano.
Champagne on the podium.
So spray all round, and we've got the third podium coming up for the AM class runners. And certainly Nicky Leutwiler ran as high as about 6th or 7th overall. He did really, really well. He came home with victory in that class, but you know, he will have loved mixing with the young guns up at the front. Did a very good job indeed.
Facciamo accomodare I piloti dopo questa favolosa performance ed è il momento quindi di sistemare nuovamente le bottiglie, allestire il podio per la GT4 AM Cup.
So there it is in the Pro-Am Cup. Mark Basseng and Philip Bethke didn't score the points today, nor did Patrick Zamperini and Saba Moore, but Hamza Avega and Markus Lundstrass really had a fantastic meeting. First in the class yesterday, second today. They moved up to third place overall, ahead of the W&D combination of Paolo Meloni and Tresoldi. A few problems for some of their chasers, and that's allowed Pavel Lefterov and Miguel Cristobal to move up to 6th place overall. Saw them on the top step of the podium, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. And now the AM podium. Third in class, the number 39 crew. Gwenel Delomier and Sylvain Debs in the 3Y Technology BMW. Second in class, we're looking at 76, and that's Giuseppe Giovanelli and Giuseppe Jesi and Alessandro Giovanelli for Ortolando Sport. Yesterday's winners, but today's winners in the AM class. Today's winner, I should say. He drove it all alone. Nicky Leutwiler. He has every reason to look tired. He did the whole race, and it was getting pretty warm out there, so that was a great result for Nicky. Really thoroughly deserved, and you can see he hated every single second of it.
Va a scemare con un bel applauso per la squadra francese, con un solo pilota ha conquistato la vittoria. È il momento, con il nostro Peter Keuren che rappresenta Pirelli nel contesto del Grand Prix, è il momento di consegnare i trofei ai protagonisti. Al terzo posto 3Y Technology, Gwenel Delomier e Sylvain Debs.
So great to see some new faces up on the podium. Sylvain Debs and Gwenel Delomier enjoying their life on the third step. And again, a fantastic weekend on home ground for the Ortolando Sport crew. We saw Giovanelli having a little spin, but it didn't cost them too much because they still managed to take the points for second place in the AM class. But staying on the lead lap was no small feat in its own, and doing so with such style. Nicky Leutwiler up on the top step. Yeah, he's a very happy man indeed, and so he should.
Showing the trophies, please, with the cups. That's the same, okay? And now champagne.
And their weekend is over. Now they can enjoy the rest of the racing action. They've had their own, and they can stay and watch the rest here at the Misano World Circuit. And home alone, effectively on the top step, and finally spraying whoever's left. Nicky Leutwiler, the winner of the AM class here at Misano. What a great day he's had. What a great weekend. So the sun was shining ahead of the race. Fantastic weather here. 43 cars coming out to play. A packed start down towards the first corner, and it was all very tidy indeed. Milan Doncic preserving the lead. A big charge from Ivan Pereiras on the outside of that number 2 Mercedes, being pushed by Markus Lundstrass, the Pro-Am runner, and then unfortunately a spin for the number 6 Audi. That took it out of the overall reckoning deep into the gravel. But the story in the early stages of the race was Finley Hutchinson making the moves to go into the lead of the race in the Equipe Vauxhall McLaren. Great running from Markus Lundstrass, mixing with the far more experienced drivers. There's Nicky Leutwiler. He went on to win the AM class, but he was really mixing it with the big boys at the front end. Markus Lundstrass being demoted by Ivan Pereiras, but then Ivan would fight back, and so it went backwards and forwards. Fantastic racing around the circuit. The BMWs also started making the moves coming up the order. There's Simon Knapp in the number 1 BMW being given a bit of a rub. The 2 wonderful rumbling Camaros into a pit stop, and the story of the race was the number 5 Audi came in from second place, a lap for the number 10 McLaren, but look, pushed just a little too wide beyond the circuit, and on his outlap went over the white lines about 3 times, was given a drive-through penalty for that, and as it happens, the McLaren was ahead just when their pit stops were completed, and that expanded the advantage to a very tidy number for Ricardo van der Ende. And the teammates, Nico Menzel 1-1-0 and Gabriele Piano 1-1-1, fighting super hard together, really enthralling racing. But up into second place went the 55 Ginetta, and cruelly with a lap and a half to go, something went wrong. He wasn't a spin like that one for the Autolando Porsche, but all that one for the 13, Mark Bassing. Very unusual seeing him spinning, but that was a big moment in the Porsche Cayman. And as the battling at the tail end of the top 6 went all the way to the finish, there was a sudden late problem for the 55 Ginetta, fell down the order, but no such problem at all for the number 10, Equipe Vauxhall McLaren. There is the victory. Yesterday it won, picked up a penalty. Today, no such problems. And delight on the podium for Ricardo van der Ende and Finlay Hutchison.